Hello friends, and welcome to our One Piece Chapter 839 review and discussion. I'm Silver.
And I'm Robo Oso.
On screen, we have some Sanji gameplay in honor of his starring role in this week's chapter. Now let's run down this week's events. So we got to see the fallout from Luffy defeating Doflamingo. Germa 66 has seen increases in the demands for their mercenary services. Two of the brothers have just gotten back from helping that country end its prolonged civil war. Reiju, Sanji's sister, seems to make a statement that reflects awareness of the human cost of the war that they helped end, although her brothers quickly deflect such empathic thoughts and observe that they could have made more money by playing the sides against each other, and generally show to not really care about the results of their actions.
Right, but it is interesting that she brought that up.
Yeah, so it possibly shows that maybe she isn't as bad as her brothers, but we'll talk about this a little bit more later. So, we then see a big scene. We get the giant eagle, the big room where they're all eating. We get to see the different chairs, and the chairs are all numbered, so that made me think, has there just been an empty chair for Sanji for the last 10 to 15 years? I don't know. They could have just built him one, I suppose.
I think so, which would make it a lot easier for them to picture all those humiliating stories about Sanji. They would just look at his chair and be like, remember when we did that to him?
Well, and they were like, because in their heads he's really weak, and he's probably the strongest person there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we get the left-facing eagle, we get the skulls with the lightning. Oda is clearly telling us that these people are Nazis. Everyone pretty much got that before, but Nazis is what we're really seeing with a lot of this iconography. Niji won't eat his food because he's an asshole, and he spoiled his appetite. He ate something else earlier. Sanji objects. Niji calls in the cute chef. Niji throws his food, including his plate, at her. Sanji catches it.
And let's just say he ate junk food before. He ate, like, some really good chocolate.
He ate some chocolate, he ate junk food. He thought the sauce was bad. He throws it at her face. Sanji catches it, objects to him trying to hurt her, doesn't want him to scar her face because she's pretty. It's somewhat objectifying, but better than beating her. He then eats the food off the floor because he doesn't want it to go to waste. They are shocked because a royal shouldn't act this way. He compliments her on the seasoning for the sauce that his brother had insulted. She seems flattered and also shocked that he would do this.
And he talks about the nutritional value of the food as well. So he makes all these really detailed points, not just because, of his expertise, but to make her feel a lot better in the situation.
Well, but he's also showing that they're ignorant, that they really don't know what they're talking about. And Sanji tells them that they make him sick because they're the type of people he hates. They waste food, they hate women, they generally abuse people.
Yeah, and then despicable people.
Yeah,
sure.
And a pretty standard thing we've seen in the One Piece universe with people in power, wealthy people, nobles, abusing people, and not thinking there's anything wrong with that. To that point, all of his family, with the possible exception of the sister, tell him this is just how royalty acts. His sister, Reiju, seems to react positively to him standing up for the chef. She comments on the fact that he's she shouldn't say chivalrous. Yeah, she said a gentleman. Yeah. Whether this is because she isn't a complete asshole, or whether she just liked that he defended her because she's a woman, or maybe she's just amused because he's doing something unpredictable and making things more exciting for her. Because she reacted happily that he did that. And that seems a little bit
it's
of
more
a strange
amusement.
Reaction. Yeah, it's more like pleasure, not like pride. It just seemed like, as you said, like she's amused.
Because she's not at all fazed by what they were about to do to
exactly. Them. And they don't seem to ostracize her at all. So we don't get the impression that she's raising objections to their actions frequently. So I think this is probably a misdirection, that she only seems like she's caring. It's possible that she could in some ways be the worst one of them, because she could be aware and observant and understand other people's feelings and still not care. We get the impression that the other siblings and the father don't even consider the feelings of other people. They act like other people don't have feelings, they're worthless. They don't see them as being other people and other humans who have the same sort of things that they have with regard to richness of emotional experience and those sort of things. She seems
empathy.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That is empathy.
Yeah.
What she seems to actually get that and doesn't care.
Yeah.
Which is worse to me.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Because she doesn't seem to do anything about it.
And her body language, too, suggested in that scene she's seen this kind of stuff before, obviously. Like, they abuse their servants here and there. So she's very kind of just, like, you know, nonchalant about it. Like, the way... I think she's, like, leaning her head in her hand, too.
Yeah.
She's just very, like, this is interesting.
She's very cavalier about everything.
Yeah.
And then we get Judge, Sanji's father, threatens Zeph, tells him that they did research, they know where he was, that they'll kill him if he tries to make any trouble. Sanji then has flashbacks to being with Zeph, some things that we saw from the Barati restaurant arc, some sort of just stuff that we never saw, but filling in kind of Sanji's childhood with Zeph. And Sanji seems to just kind of leave because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to Zeph, and he's conflicted about being threatened and kind of sticking with his beliefs. Some time passes, he comes upon the chef that he stuck up for before, and she's been beaten unconscious, her face is swollen.
Yeah, and this is one of the more graphically violent scenes
Yes.
I've seen in One Piece for some time. Like, the way it was detailed, that her teeth are knocked out, like, her head is just, like, completely dirtied, and everything was just very detailed about it, so I was really shocked when I saw that. I was like, whoa, damn.
Yeah, because this was this was a different sort of violence. You know, when somebody gets stabbed, you know, when Zoro gets stabbed by Mihawk, you know, that's not very upsetting violence, really. You know, like this is... And when other characters get shot or stabbed, you know, it's trivialized. You know, we're desensitized to that sort of violence. This is very different. Because this is, you know, some warrior guy beating up a defenseless woman.
Yeah, this is more on par with kind of how I felt when, like, Nami, like, was stabbing herself. Something like that.
Well, I was thinking about, like, with Bella Mare getting killed, right?
Right.
Obviously, obviously it seems like this woman is probably going to live, but, you know, she's been possibly disfigured and all the sort of terrible things that can happen. So Yonji then conveniently shows up and tells Sanji that this is indirectly his fault for sticking up for her, and that it was most likely Niji who did this. Now, the fact that Yonji's basically coming in here and being like, hey, Niji did it, you should go fight him,
with
makes
a
me
smirk
think,
on his face.
Yeah, makes me think that Yonji did it. Now, there's an outside shot that maybe Reiju did it. She and Yonji maybe are just orchestrating this in order to entertain themselves, but there's no evidence of that, so maybe it's just Yonji.
She could be manipulating people, yeah.
Yeah, she seems manipulative, and she also seems like she's smarter than the rest of them, so that's one of the reasons why I think she's probably manipulative, because she has more awareness. You can
smarter
be,
than even the father, too.
The father seems stupid. I mean, like...
Judge is like...
Yeah, no, basically they all seem dumb except for Reiju. Because the point I was going to make is that you have to have some degree of emotional intelligence to successfully manipulate people. So Yonji then tells Sanji that he'll take him to Niji. Instead of leading him to Niji, he takes him to a vault that they apparently weren't supposed to go in as children. And then the doors open and it's revealed to be some sort of clone laboratory filled with soldiers with different initialism titles, MB, MST, MH. And then all the
different body types as well, like the broad-shouldered, like more kind of heavy-set brute strength-looking guys, and then like kind of thinner guys that might be more agile. And it's interesting to me how they're all like in these kind of like corked capsule like bottle things as well. So
yeah, and if you have you the listener have any theories as to what the initials stand for, you can feel free to leave your theory in the comments below, or maybe you have something better than a theory. Maybe there's actually some evidence to explain what these mean, but we'll probably just find out a little bit later. The one thought that I had when I was looking at the clones was that they appear very similar to J.C. Denton, the main character from the original Deus Ex game, with their giant physique and sunglasses that are seemingly melded to their face. Also a little bit like Virgo from Doflamingo's crew. What we basically seen here, what's been revealed, is that they are Nazi clone cyborgs, that basically Oda played a bunch of Return to Castle Wolfenstein when he was trying to design Sanji's family and just decided, oh, they're sci-fi Nazis that live in a castle. So, not a bad choice. I think it was a very interesting chapter. Things feel different than One Piece normally does, almost like it's a spin-off. Even the tone is somewhat different. Sure, we have a similar source of conflict as we talked about before. We have privileged people abusing their position, treating other people as slaves. And as an author, injustice is a very powerful tool for making an audience hate certain characters, and Oda has always used that very effectively, and he does so here as well. But it's somewhat different because we get Sanji's struggle, the powerlessness, the personal nature of the conflict, which are, again, other themes that have been used effectively. As you alluded to, Nami's self-harm.
Yeah.
That was another sort of similar instance. So we get to see Sanji's struggle here, because if he wasn't being handicapped in numerous ways, threatening Zeph, the collar, which he didn't seem to have on at all in this chapter. Remember? And they put the things on his hands? I didn't notice that he had them. Were they there?
No, I didn't see him wearing them.
Yeah, that I thought was very strange, the fact that he just didn't have them anymore. So, I don't know if that's ever going to be addressed.
I guess they took them off because I know when they showed that wonderful headshot of Zeph, they had those little handcuffs, those shackles, like, as well, and he was saying if he gives you any problems, you know, you can show him this, and you can also handcuff him as well. But I don't know why they would take them off in the first place. I don't know. I guess they figured that picture would be enough. Which it seems to be, because he's not going to do anything, knowing that it's entirely possible that they could track Zeph down and kill him.
But I think the big takeaway, the big cliffhanger, is evil Nazi science. So next week's chapter should be pretty interesting. That is our review of Chapter 839. If you have any additional comments on any of the events that happened in the chapter, or anything that we said, please leave them down below. And like the video if you like the video, subscribe if you want to get more manga and anime review content. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.